Hello and welcome to Just One More Watch. Welcome today to a brief review of what is, let's be honest, a bit of a classic. The Hamilton Khaki Field Mechanical. Now, one of the problems with Hamilton is their intense micro variation of every single model, and the Khaki Field is no different. If you look at the Hamilton website, you will find no less than 20 different versions of this watch. You can get black dials, blue dials, white dials or brown dials. You can get canvas straps, leather straps, fabric straps or bracelets, stainless steel cases, PVD cases, bronze cases, no date or date versions, and you can get all of those in no less than 3 different sizes. But there was only one Hamilton Khaki Field that appeared in the 2020 blockbuster Sonic the Hedgehog. This one, apparently. Hamilton is well known for placing their watches in some amazing films like Dune, Interstellar, and also Sonic the Hedgehog. Now look, I admit I haven't seen the film, perhaps I'm unfairly maligning it. I did have a laugh though when I saw the appearance in the movie on the Hamilton website as this particular model's USP of all things. Anyway, big shout out to Mr. P. This one belongs to him. Maybe he's a Sonic fan? He kindly loaned it to me for review. Let's flip the camera and have a look at it. Now, when I said brief, I actually meant brief today for once. I don't even have the packaging for this one, but I can show you what it looks like. It looks like this, then this, then this, and then eventually this. Perfectly acceptable for a watch at its price point, segueing neatly into price point. You may have seen earlier on, the Aussies get nailed for this one. They get nailed so hard it caused me to suck the air between my teeth. $950, you should be able to get 10, 15, maybe even 20% off from your authorised dealer if you ask nicely. However, the American grey market price is so much more palatable. $460 and change if you opt for the exact same canvas strap that I have. $410 if you opt for the leather NATO instead. You know which one I would be going for, and I suspect I know which one you would be going for. Still, it is not a massive bargain. This is by no means a spec monster. These military style timepieces don't tend to be spec monsters. You always end up paying a little bit more for them. I've looked at CWCs and MWCs that have been, frankly, relatively a lot worse value for money than this one. I guess you're paying a little bit more for that military provenance, and Hamilton, for example, had been making timepieces for the US Army on and off since the 1910s, so you're definitely getting something authentic with this one. And you're getting a lovely, no-nonsense little watch. It is a sub 40, but it just has all the features that you need from this style of retro military watch, and none of the features that you don't. You don't get a date complication, you don't get any fancy finishing, you don't get even any anti-reflective coating on the sapphire crystal. Hey, at least you get sapphire crystal today. Let's do dimensions then. I did say it was a little watch, very well proportioned watch, 38mm in diameter, but only 9.5mm thick. This is a manual wind movement, no rotor. It's a slim movement to begin with, hence why they can get it under a centimetre. However, 46.5mm lug to lug. With that diameter dimension, you might have expected something slightly smaller. I guess the slightly longer retro style lugs really help when fitting it onto NATO straps. It is a standard 20mm lug width, thankfully. Weight as supplied is a mere 60 grams on this canvas NATO. 50 meters of water resistance from a push-pull crown, fine for a field watch. Double domed sapphire crystal, and it's a Hamilton H50 movement in the back. You can't see it thanks to a closed case back. You probably wouldn't want a display case back on this style of watch anyway. It kind of ruins the authenticity and the purity of this 1960s military design. Stainless steel screw-on case back, Hamilton brand logo, and a bit of a spec sheet around the outer edge there. Now the H50 is a modified version of the ETA 2824 manual wind rotorless. I'm sure Mr. P won't mind if we pop the case back off this and have a look at it. I gotta say though, it's not much of a looker, is it? Actually, that's really nice to see. I haven't seen one of these before on anything, I don't think. This is the first watch I've ever seen it on. An extra metal plate there to help with anti-magnetism. And there we are, the H50, but slightly disappointingly housed in a plastic movement holder. I guess that's why this one weighs in at under 60 grams. It's a 17 joule manual wind movement that additionally hacks, now based on an ETA 2824 but with the beat rate slowed down from 28.8 to 21.6, combined with a chunky mainspring, doubles the power reserve to 80 hours. That's enough for me to almost forgive the plastic movement holder. Moving swiftly on, case finish really doesn't get more simple than this, does it? Bead blasted throughout, nice finish, I guess in keeping with the military look because it doesn't reflect light and glare as it would if it were high polished stainless steel. Very simple, no chamfers, no nothing like that. You do get drilled lugs though, again, if you want to swap this one back and forth between this nylon, leather straps, whatever you've got in the house. Nice crown, manual wind. The crown is such an important feature and such an important tactile connection with a manual wind watch, 6.5mm. It's nicely chunky, it's nicely grippy, and it does have the Hamilton logo on the end. Fixed bezel here, again that same bead blasted finish, and domed sapphire crystal. Dial and hands then, again it doesn't get much more simple than this in that classic military field watch style. Big printed Arabics, everything just printed on. 1 to 12 around the outer edge, 13 to 24 on the inner circle. Hamilton, that is it, apart from Swiss made down the bottom. Now, I would describe this one as photina'd. They've used old radium style loom, as you'll see in a minute here, on the hands and on those little triangular markers, again, very much in keeping with the military style. Some people don't like photina, they object to it on more modern style timepieces. On this one, I think thoroughly appropriate. Great handset as well, syringe tips on the sword-shaped hour and minute hand, and we have this really interesting second hand here with an arrowhead at the very tip just hitting the edge of the minute track and a large circular lollipop counterbalance. Really clean, really simple, and despite the relatively small diameter, super legible. And this nylon strap is a good one. As discussed in the intro, you're not short of options. You can have bracelets, NATOs, leathers, whatever. This is actually pretty good, and it has leather in all the right places to reinforce the holes. Leather on the tip, you don't see that very often. The tip of these nylon NATO style straps is the first thing to fray. That is great. It means chances are you'll be using this Hamilton supplied strap for far longer than you otherwise would be. And it's Hamilton branded, brushed hardware, the buckle and tang to finish things off. And you can see what I mean immediately about the legibility when I get this one on wrist. It's not a big watch, but it is so easy to read thanks to those white surrounded hands against the black dial, the white Arabics that are actually a decent size, all things considered. Super light, less than 60 grams thanks to that plastic movement holder, and nice and comfortable on this nylon strap. Not worth the extra $50 US though. I would definitely be going for the leather NATO instead if I was buying one new. Overhead shot, the dial is just so nicely done on this one. You've got those minute markers, the 5-minute markers, and 2 complete rings of Arabics, and yet there's still enough black space, there's still enough breathing space on this one. It doesn't look cluttered at all. A really timeless and classic little watch this. Moans and niggles, well perhaps ignorance is bliss after all. Maybe I would have been better off not taking the case back off and not seeing that plastic movement holder. Oh, it's a fairly minor point really. Aussie RRP though, $9.50, just too damn high. Some companies try and overcharge Aussies. Hamilton seemed to be one of them. $200 off that, and now you're talking. Even then, it's still quite a lot of money for such a simple watch on a nylon strap as well. $400 US, that's okay. And you're going to get most of your money back if you do decide to flip this one because it's just such a sweet little watch, such a desirable brand name, Swiss made, great movement, and a decent set of specifications. I'm not even going to moan about 50 meters of water resistance. This military style watch, you always pay a little bit more. With the Hamilton khaki field mechanical, I think that extra expense is more than justified. It's a classic. So there you have it. It really doesn't get much simpler, much neater, or much more timeless than this one. It's a lovely, pure little thing. A watch that will never go out of fashion, and a watch that will hold its value really well. Your biggest problem is going to be choosing which one you want though, given how many variations there are. If you are into the brand, I've reviewed a dozen or so hammies by now. Have a look at 2 of my favourites here or here. Thanks for making it all the way to the end. I'll see you again in the next one.